an exclusive interview with CGTN, Tony Bancroft, the director of Disney's 1998 animated film Mulan, praised the Chinese animated film Ne Zha 2.
I just heard that Ne Zha 2 has already surpassed Inside Out 2, which for the US has broken all the records. So to imagine that this movie worldwide is already such a phenomenal success is so phenomenal, so great. I mean, I'm totally surprised by it, because I really thought that, you know, Pixar is already like this really top studio. And for China to come out with a movie that tops that even is very impressive and adds a lot of credibility for China.
The film has pulled in more than $1.6 billion in global ticket sales, along with enchanting audiences. With its lively characters and stunning visuals, Ne Zha 2 has ignited a sense of national pride across China. For more now on the global success of Ne Zha 2 and its role as an ambassador for Chinese film and culture, I'm joined by Simon Abrams. He's a movie critic and author whose work has appeared in Vanity Fair and the New York Times. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Now, do audiences need to see the first film in the installment to understand the second?
I'm tempted to say no, but I definitely think it will help, because the core relationships in this movie and a lot of the themes are an extension of the first movie. I still think one of the main selling points and one of the main assets of this sequel is that you don't really need to understand what happened in order to follow what is happening in the sequel, because a lot of the characters are very well drawn. The relationships are very well articulated. This is a movie that does a rare, fine job of foregrounding the emotional core of the story and the characters. It would probably still help to have seen the first movie, which is also pretty good. So yes and no is the best answer I could give you.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the myth the film is based on, also the story arc, the characters, how it speaks to Chinese popular culture today?
Sure. This is one of a couple of adaptations of The Investiture of the Gods, which I know from having been 2 volumes. And it's a big sprawl of many different supporting characters, as the movies reflect. It's not even the only contemporary Chinese film that's at least loosely based on The Investiture of the Gods. And it's sort of, in that sense, similar to all the different offshoots and spin-offs and adaptations of another Chinese novel, The Journey to the West, which is 4 volumes as opposed to The Investiture of the Gods, which is 2. And the idea that these movies found they cut out a part of that story and they cultivated it, and they did it in a way that appeals to a mass audience. It's really speaking to the fact that there are a number of other adaptations or, you know, loose adaptations of The Investiture of the Gods, but this is one that has really appealed to a spectrum of audience members. It's not just animation fans, it's not just fantasy fans, it's not like genre fans. It's, you know, it's something that the whole family can go to see, and that's a big part of what makes, I think, this particular adaptation and its focus on the clash between gods and immortals and dragons and deities and demigods so appealing.
We're entering, or we have entered, the era of hard power in Donald Trump's world in America today. Is this film an example of China's strategy for soft power, especially given the way that it really tells a story of Chinese mythology?
That's interesting. I think definitely this has been, if that's the case, then it's been an initiative that's been ongoing for a few years now. I can recall at least 10 years ago when there were projections of Chinese cinema overtaking the American box office. And each year that passed, that seemed less and less like conjecture and more like a real possibility. And big event movies like Ne Zha 2 only confirm that, stuff like The Wandering Earth and its sequel. Even the first Ne Zha was such a big hit that you could see the industry, even in just Chinese animation, shifting towards making more movies like it. And as time passed, you saw more and more movies like that in American, more and more American chain theaters. So each Lunar New Year, you'd see more and a bigger range of theaters covering that stuff. So I definitely can see the idea of there being a greater attraction as well as a greater push towards making an international audience for these movies.
Right, and then there is a massive Chinese diaspora internationally, but how is this film doing outside of China, not just for Chinese diaspora, but you know, every kind of international person on the planet? Is it a popular film?
I think so, and I think it reflects in the fact that before you might see this movie playing in a couple of theaters with a couple of showtimes, but each theater that I see now here in New York City that has it has not only a full day's worth of showtimes, it's multiple showtimes. So instead of just like a 1 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, there's a 1 o'clock, a 1:30, a 2:30, a 3:30, and that shows you that there is not just an anticipation for an international audience and non-indigenous language speaking audience, but there's also a very real reality to that. People are showing up, and it's not just initiated audience members, people who know the source material or are familiar with this type of movie either. There's a real increased appetite for this type of film.
Well, it will be interesting to see if it follows in the footsteps of Japanese anime, given how popular that's been. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Simon Abrams, really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.